Ready, Fuzzy?
Yeah. Welcome, everyone, to another EOS Talk on the Beyond Bitcoin Network. Today is Saturday, April 7th, 2018. I am Fuzzy, and I'm here to lead a new format where we are going to go live with anyone who wishes to participate in EOS Talks in the future using RSVPs that have been made on a thread on EOSTalk.io. If you would like to participate in these talks or add subjects for us to bring up, please post these in our weekly RSVP threads on EOSTalk.io so we can see them, and we can also reward them if you leave us with your BitShares address there. Obviously, we want people who are doing cool things in the ecosystem to join us as guest speakers every week, but we also are wanting various topics that you think might be important for us to cover. So let us know what's going on the EOSTalk.io forums and get some EOS bits in return for the ones that we choose for these shows. Now, with that said, speaking of which, we are talking about the EOSTalk.io forums, and just so everybody else out there is aware, these forums are based on graphene technology, the graphene technology that underlies the fastest chains in the world. So you can actually, if somebody says EOS is vaporware and is not going to exist, you can pretty much just point them to these forums and show them that today this technology is scalable to the point where we can actually have forums that people actually post on every week that actually takes their posts, brings it to a blockchain, and they can actually even be rewarded on this site. Obviously, as you can see on the forums, we also have the price, which is always important for us to talk about to make sure that we talk about that. But of course, we got to go into the Blocktivity, because Blocktivity is the place where we try to remind everybody that price isn't all that matters. We have currently in the space this weird thing that's going on where everybody, all they ever talk about is price. They never stop to ask the question, wait a second, if everybody in the world wants to use our blockchain, will our blockchain survive it? And what you can see when you look at Blocktivity is that the people who have the chains that are on there, the top chains are Steam, Ethereum, BTS. Those are the top three. Bitcoin is not even in the top three, right? And just to give a kind of an idea of the basis of behind these, if you look at the CUI index, you can actually see the participation, even though we have about 1.7 million on Steam every day, we have about 0.14% of the networks actually being used, as opposed to network Ethereum's 43% and Bitcoin's 34%. And of course, BitShares at number 3, the longest chain in the world, at a centralized exchange where you can get off of all these centralized exchanges that you have to trust, is also at the top 3 on the blockchain activity matrix that is blocktivity.info. So I want to just thank everybody who made blocktivity.info possible. And I want to guide everybody to always look at that and check it out whenever you're showing people what really matters in the blockchain space, because this can help reframe the data in such a way that it makes a little bit more sense for them to stop focusing so much on the price. But of course, getting into the price, because everybody does want to hear about the price. If we could go ahead and pull that up real quick, we can talk about it just really quickly, just maybe give it about 20 seconds. And if you look at EOS right now, the price is at about $5.90 each. And you can see that, of course, on the EOSTalk Forums when you go there. It has been sticking around $6 for the past week as other cryptos have been dropping. And I think that a lot of the different things that are going on in the ecosystem right now, and a lot of the announcements actually that we're going to talk a little bit about tonight, might be contributing to that. But I will also say that the $1.5 or the $1 billion that has been basically put towards VC funds, partnered with probably, I think it's over $1.5 billion now for their crowd fund. Means that they have a lot, that Block One has a lot to offer to the people who launch this chain for them. So I think that we might be seeing that as one of the factors that's keeping it afloat as other cryptos go down. But then, of course, we have other things like the scalability of the project when it actually does launch that I believe will make this one of the, if not the premium and premier currency, cryptocurrency in the world. Now, with that said, I've gotten my important initial comments there for the agenda right there. We're going to then next go into the community initiatives, which is run by our community coordinator, PowerPix, and he is going to be mentioning some of the cool things that we are offering. We offer these community initiatives every week, and we leverage cross-chain platform tokens, utility tokens that actually are able to allow value creation between two chains to create a synergistic effect for users. So we actually have tokens that are usable, with all MAS-based DACs like Steem, Golos, and now Whaleshares. And these tokens are going to be usable on all of these types of chains. And they are something that we actually use to reward people who are helping with these initiatives. So let me go ahead and I'll step back, let PowerPix step up as the community coordinator, talk a little bit about it, give everybody the insights on what's going on this week, maybe a little bit about what finished up this week, and just overall keep you guys up to date on that front.
Yeah, absolutely. How's it going, everyone? Tonight we're going to review, we have one challenge that was coming across. It's not a 2-week challenge. This was the Vice Industry Token Video Tutorial Challenge that I announced last week. And this is to create a video tutorial of the claim process for claiming your VIT tokens. Because remember, their crowdfunded ended on March 20th. And now, just like with EOS, you actually have to move them over to your wallet and claim them. So we had a video challenge up for that we were letting run for 2 weeks. We have 2 entries right now that are looking pretty good. So we're hoping if, this week or a couple more days in this challenge, if anyone has video skills, you can come and jump in and create that. The video will be based off of a written tutorial on their blog, and that's on blog.vicetoken.com. And you basically follow that tutorial, make a video very similar to the EOS token claiming videos that we did a challenge for back, I think it was in February, we did for EOS. So it'd be very similar to that, claiming them to your MetaMask or Ethereum wallet, ERC20 compatible wallet. Just make a nice video tutorial, show people how to do that, and post it, and you'll get a chance to win 100 BeyondBit and 100 Whaleshares. And this is not a contest of who's better than who to win. This is, you create this video for us, as long as we know it's a quality video, not just crap thrown up. But if you put the time in and make a good video, you are rewarded the 100 BeyondBits and 100 Whaleshares for your efforts. So you don't have to worry about being better than someone for first, second, third. It's just, participate in this challenge and win some tokens for your efforts. Now, we did have a tokens for tweets challenge that was with this as well. Technically, because this is a 2-week challenge, you can still go ahead and do that as well if you want. If you don't have the video skills, just jump in and tweet that for us. Our next challenge that we have that's actually going to end on Monday is our BitsharesTalk logo design contest. And this is for the new BitsharesTalk.io forums. And these are going to be part of the new Whaleshares chain. And that's something that we've talked about the last 2 weeks now. And that's in a beta right now, and Fuzzy will probably touch on that a little bit later in the show as well. But we had a challenge out there to design a new logo. We've been using a logo in the past, which was the BitShares B with the headphones on it. That's been kind of the standard for our hangouts and talk shows and things over the last couple of months. And we're looking for a revamped version of that, something more hip, something more cool, something more now. And this challenge has got tons of response. Last I checked, we had about 30 different designs that people were submitting for this, and we do have first place 40 Beyond Bits, second is 30, and third place is 20. And of course, everyone who takes the time to participate will also get an upvote on their entry. So you'll get a reward for giving us your time and taking a shot at it. And I'm going to jump over real quick just to Discord and kind of drop in a picture here of crowd favorite so far. So that's the logo that's being used over on the new BitsharesTalk Telegram group, and kind of the front runner for now. So we'll see how that goes. We still got another day and a half now for people to submit their entries, if they got time for that. So it's not a done deal yet. Anyone can knock that one out, but that's just been the crowd favorite so far. And our next challenge that's running, this is more of a Whaleshares community, like a community sharing challenge. This is broad reaching across all of our communities, Whaleshares being the main hub that we bring people through, and of course the new chain, the new DAC. But this challenge is basically a community sharing challenge where we want you to help promote the Whaleshares community Discord. And all you have to do is in your next post, we have a little, let's see, some words here. Basically, we have some text that you can copy and paste with the link to the Discord server at the bottom of your next post, and put a sentence or two of, what you like about like why are you in the Whaleshares Discord? Why are you part of the community? Just put a little kind of a blurb about why you're there, why you're actually promoting it, and then copy and paste in the little promotion text with the Discord link. And this is another one of our flat reward contests. Basically, you don't have to worry about first, second, third. It's just jump in, share this, be a part of community building for us, and you'll earn 10 Whaleshares. And everyone just needs to remember that, Whaleshares, while they're still working as an upvote token over on Steemit, remember Whaleshares are going to be share dropped on or airdropped on with the new Whaleshares chain. So those tokens are best to be held. So a 10 Whaleshare reward is actually a lot more valuable than it sounds. So definitely hang on to those. And like I said, this is more of an easy one. You just need to jump in there and add this to your next post, like a footer, like a signature to your next post, basically promoting the Whaleshares Discord and inviting your friends and followers over to our community. And those are the challenges that we have running now. So I'll kick it back over to Fuzz.
Yeah, I just want to express to everybody here, whenever you help these community efforts, not only are you rewarding yourself, you're actually helping us grow stronger in the face of an industry that's continually growing and continually requiring more and more to service and help. So the people who are supporting this stuff, you guys are amazing. The quality that we get from most of these is stunning. And the fact that there are people who are always willing to participate really gives us kind of, it really gives us a place to say everybody out there has something of value that they can provide, right? Just like you were saying as Steam Power, a lot of people don't necessarily have a specific skill, but even doing these things like sharing the fact that we have these initiatives, sharing the fact that we have a community that actually uses cross-chain tokens right now, right? If you want to dispel any of the things that people, any of the FUD about this technology, give them tokens that work, and if you can actually get people testing this technology, seeing what we're offering already right now, what they're going to think whenever they start thinking about EOS is, well, if this is already existing right now, what comes next, right? And that, I think, is one of the things that is really stunning to me, that we are in this place where we're literally able to do this in a cross-chain manner that creates value for all participants. And I really just applaud all the people who are helping with the community efforts, man. So thank you very much for doing it. And thank you for everybody who's participating. I could definitely continue going on about how thankful I am, but let's go ahead and get on to the other parts of the agenda. Sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. But like you said, we have a lot of people that are coming in, and a lot of regulars as well. They'll come in and they'll compete in multiple challenges, coming up with designs, logos, whether it's for like BitShares, EOS Angels, or the Milkbox projects, and it's really great to see that community support.
Yeah, and it's the quality, as you can see. is pretty high too. There, and of course, the people who don't create extremely high quality, we're very thankful for you participating and learning, because it's consistently doing that that'll make you better at whatever you do.
Absolutely.
So everybody wins here. It's a 360 win. Support it. Support yourself. If you're, there are so many times I see people complaining or upset about something in cryptocurrency, but one thing that we offer is something where you could actually take your time and do something valuable and help some of the good projects that are out there, like EOS Cafe, like Cephios, like EOS New York, and all the good people who are working in the EOS ecosystem, EOS Denver, EOS Atlanta. My gosh, we have so many of them that we're able to help. And this is what it's all about. So I really want to thank all of you guys for supporting us, supporting all these different projects along with it, because this is how we create something that's a little bit above and beyond what anybody else has imagined in the space. And you guys make it possible. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk just a little bit about the Dawn 3 release. We did discuss it a little bit last week too, but I don't think a whole lot of people got to listen to it live.
Right.
So let's go ahead and go back into it a little bit. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, perfect. And I'll go here.
Sound good to you, BB?
Yeah. I'm going to drop the link in here so everyone has the Medium link.
Sure.
Now, at this point, Fuzz, if you want, I can open up the mics and people can actually join the discussion as we go from here.
Sure.
So let's unlock this. All right, everyone.
So this is from Dan Larimer. And just a real quick reminder to anybody who's here and they're looking at this stuff, consider reaching out to Dan. They've been kind of censored on Steam a little bit, but we created MASDAC. So rather than having them where they have to go to Medium, where obviously Medium's censoring things too, rather than having to just choose one, we're making it easy for them using MASDACs.io to post to all of them. So just a real quick reminder there, and we will get a little bit further into that, but just something to say, if you ever talk to Dan, let him know that we have this. Let them, any of the people from EOSIO or Block One, let them know about the service that we offer, so you can spread the word on multiple different platforms at once and get rewarded for it. But as you can see, scalability, inter-blockchain communication, header verification, context-free actions, context-free inline actions as events. They're offering a lot here. Transaction compression, which speeds things up and requires a lot less. Resource metering, rate limiting. There's a lot that is coming out with the EOS Dawn 3 release, and they are definitely moving forward pretty quickly. The simple fact that they are launching earlier than they were expected to with this is a pretty big deal. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot more to come. This is still in early stages, but as you can tell, they're keeping pretty much on their roadmap. And it seems to me to be a pretty bullish thing for the market participants, even in a kind of bearish crypto market, as we see EOS kind of creeping up in the number and the rankings in terms of market cap on the coin itself. So as you can see here, worst case 1,000 TPS, and that's without any optimizations. We're able to sustain 1,000 TPS using a multi-node network running the interpreter with a single threaded signature verification, which basically is meaning they're talking about single thread, which is essentially like BitShares or Steam. And this is just a blockchain using one thread right now. What the plan is to expand it to be able to run multiple threads, right? So that's where they are right now. There's a lot of other things that are going on with it. But let me really quickly, before I say anything, does anybody want to bring up anything specifically they'd like to talk about?
Yeah, see,
or should I continue?
Well, I mean, for myself, I mean, when you go through and you read the post on Dawn 3 on Medium, they go through like this theoretical case of 8,000 transactions per second and stuff, and they do talk about block producers, doing multiple threads and all that stuff too to kind of carry these things through. But I guess the grand summary for all of it is basically, they have even down at the bottom, they're saying that, Dawn 3 is basically their feature complete stable API release. So that from this point on, the developers should be able to jump in and create their projects on the EOSIO software and actually have it function as it should. And then of course, as we go through getting closer to launch, you'll have your transactions per second, all that good stuff coming online. But this is supposed to be feature complete and ready to go for developers.
And so you'll essentially be able to be running a single threaded service right there.
Developers should be able to jump in and create their projects on the that was just to make sure I said what I said, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, they've even brought up the fact that during the time of developing this, there's a lot more that they're bringing in, as far as like account recovery, how the voting is going to be, you're going to lock away tokens to be able to vote on things, the specific period of time that they're going to be able to do that. Obviously, the chain itself is supposed to be down below 1 second transactions. And
it's
below
now.
yeah 0.5 second transactions, 0.75 second transaction verifications. So essentially after, I believe it's after 6 blocks that you receive verification of the transaction. So you think about that in under a second too, and that's really the window where people would do a double spend, and that window is pretty small now, whereas in things like Bitcoin it's quite a bit more easy of a target, let's say that. Could you go back to I just noticed you went down to, where was it? Could you scroll down a little bit?
Yeah, BIOS architecture, security features.
I don't see it. So, okay, so I'll have to open up myself because I'm watching it streaming here.
Yeah. Do you know which topic you were looking for?
I'm going to go down to the security part.
Oh, security,
okay. Because we were talking a little bit about the security.
Right. Yeah, and have all the updates with your lost password.
Yeah, so...
Yep, there you go.
Well, not only that, but it doesn't talk about it in this paper, but they talked a little bit about it in the actual Hong Kong meetup that we're going to talk about a little bit. And they even have it where, in addition to the lost password recovery and things like that, you can actually have multi-sig, which is, I think, something that everybody should be aware of. It's offered on BitShares as well. But the multi-sig feature will allow people to actually make it so you can put up a transaction and propose it and have other people sign off on that transaction to make it complete. So this also means that if you send a transaction in error, that gives you some time to potentially pull it back before others grab onto it too. So this is yet another, well, I guess they do talk about it a little bit. That's the delayed transactions.
Right.
But this is something that's kind of really important to recognize, because by doing that, it enables you to have like oversight on something that is largely automated anyway. And of course, that opens up the ability to do a lot of other things and kind of partially automate things, like maybe even like automate payments and stuff like that to specific people, and to be able to verify before you finish sending it out that, oh, well, this person didn't get the payment this week, or something to this effect. We can pull that back, not have to worry about asking them for it back or any of those things, because once things are done on the blockchain, most of you who have been here for a while will realize if I accidentally send something to the wrong wallet, have you ever tried to get it back? How lucky are you if you ask to get it back? You know, it's very rare that you send something to the wrong address and you ask for it back and you get it back.
Right.
With EOS,
they're saying this is all based on like the user configurable delay. So this is depending on what contract you're working on, or on your whatever your application is using as a contract. You can then set those parameters of, like it says, either from hours to days as far as what that process is.
Yeah, and some people might not need them, right? But other people will. And I guess the point that they really want to make is they're putting that ball in your field. You now have an option, whereas before you didn't have any options, right? Now you kind of get to choose. You kind of get to choose which one, where you're going to set those parameters for your specific debt. Right.
Which is cool.
So obviously, they've also talked a little bit about the simplified contract development. A lot of people who are in Ethereum, one of the big things that I hear from people in Ethereum who've been developing there is it's like a nightmare to debug things, to figure out, like, is the code that I'm using going to have problems with it because of the DAO, because of all these different hacks? You know, it's a nightmare for these people to work with. They have to learn Solidity, which is a new language that was written specifically for this. Yes, it does have a decent library compared to what it, would have had if it weren't attached to a multi-billion-dollar chain, but it's still nowhere where it needs to be. It's hard to work with, and there's a lot that needs to be done with it, and maybe it's not even viable for them to use. Whereas with EOS, everybody who pays attention will know this, and if you don't know this, well, now you will. They're focusing on making it so you don't have to use a special language that was designed just for the chain. You can jump in using what you know. That's one of the main things that they're trying to do. But obviously, I think it's C++ that will be used in most smart contracts themselves. But obviously, you can use multiple different languages to get what you want done. That's the way that they're working with it. So the way that they're constructing it, so these APIs are outward facing, easily accessible. So there's a lot of good things that are coming on this front already. And this is at a time when other chains are still figuring out what they offer, right? So just something else to put on the list for why EOS is something to be keeping on your radar.
Right, and like you had mentioned in the past too, the end goal of the EOSIO software is almost making it not really WYSIWYG, but semi-WYSIWYG, where you don't have to be a hardcore developer to actually put together your applications or smart contracts. The software and application, everything they're building for it, will give you the tools to do that, where you don't really need that hardcore coding background to put stuff together.
Exactly. And what that's meant to do is just open it up for more people to be able to develop use cases that matter. And they're trying to make it as easy as possible, because if you want to build on a platform, you want to make it as easy as possible. If the bandwidth in that platform and the value of that bandwidth in the platform, it depends on how many people are building on it, then that's something to take into account. Hold on one moment.
Right. And this, of course, Dawn 3, this is all timed out, where they just had their the next EOSIO meetup over in Hong Kong, which is on April 6th. And I'll drop a link here in the chat so everyone can follow along.
Are you talking about EOS Index or EOS Hong Kong meetup?
The Hong Kong meetup, which is on April 6th. So I dropped their Medium link. This is EOSIO's official Medium link about it, their post about it. And then we also have that video clip that we can get into a little bit later. But this is their official post that they put up talking about the meetup. I'm going to pull it up here myself. We kind of gave an outline of what was going on. Because I know in the video clip that we have, where I kind of queued it up for 1 minute and 6 seconds, it was talking, they were going through some of their announcements, some of their bigger announcements. And a lot of it had to do with their venture capital announcements. Most of the beginning stuff was a lot of the same stuff we hear, a lot of their meetups, but at the end they did talk about their venture capital, where they've, they got that $1 billion fund that was set up, I think it was back in January or so, and they were announcing like an Asian, a VC partner in the Asian markets. I think it was Michael Cow was his name, where they're doing like a $200 million fund, for projects in the Asian market.
EOS Global,
right?
Another VC partner. So that makes 3 now, right?
Right.
Three different VC partners that have signed on.
Correct. And because remember we had talked last time about how the Asian market with China, getting in with the Bitcoin mining, and so like we're going to see the Asian communities, China and the South Korea and stuff, get more involved in this, even though the governments might be publicly saying they're against it. But we're going to see the growth of this over in those markets. So now they have the funding for it as well, their own Asian division.
Well, this is going to also be, do you want to talk a little bit, because this is in line with what Brian Mailer was talking about too, with the hackathon.
Right. Because at the end of the conference, they did talk about that, where they had the list of their upcoming hackathon stuff. There we go.
So you essentially now have, and they were talking about, if you look at it, of course, everybody, it's that the June 9th through the 10th is the first one, right? And that's slotted for what? A week after the launch of EOS. So they're literally already setting the stage for everybody who's paying attention to this. And all of you who are listening to this, it's kind of stunning to realize that the people who are here listening to this are listening to stuff that actually is going to help them invest in something that makes sense, as opposed to half of these other trash coins that are being out there. Yeah, and it's so close, like you're saying, Chucky. But we're looking right now at them setting up a hackathon right afterwards. And they're trying to support with $200 million the development of funds, the development of projects that will be able to be helping EOS. Already they're starting this, right? So they're gearing up. You can tell that they're on their roadmap. They're gearing up. 3.0 release is on schedule. It was essentially before schedule. And then you look at it and you say, okay, well, now we have a hackathon that's going to be coming in afterwards, right? They're going to have multiples. They're going to be going around the world doing these hackathons. And this is just one of the VC partnerships. So there's a lot of other stuff going on. And you can tell, if you're paying attention, even I can tell, like, and I've been here for so long, it's like, I'm getting to finally watch as the rest of the community, the crypto ecosystem, their power players seem to be waking up and saying, okay, guys, we have to go to this. Like, right. This guy, Michael Cowan, like you were talking about, PP, is $200 million fund. Right. That's a huge amount. But how did he get that 200 million? They started a GPU mining facility. Right. One of the largest ones
stateside,
where they, so what are they doing? Are they not going to be doing the GPU mining as much? Are they looking for something for the next big thing and they think that this is it? These are the things that I hope people consider when they're looking at this and looking at what's actually happening, because it's telling you right on the surface what's going on, right? Now, of course, there's other things behind the scenes that, we may or may not become privy to, but on the surface, it's looking pretty dang good. Pretty dang good.
Right. Counter to John Oliver.
Counter to John Oliver, yeah. And of course, he said, I could be completely wrong, but I'm not. So he made it, he put it so perfectly, like, where if he's wrong, he can go, oh, but I was. Right. And it's no big deal. But as you can tell, it doesn't look like it's going below. I think the lowest it got was 560. And that was at a time when all the other cryptos were bleeding, bleeding. Yeah. And even then, it didn't stay there very long before it recovered pretty substantially. So we're sitting and watching it at around $6. And if you think about it, They probably have almost $3 billion from all, between the crowdfunder, the token distribution, and the VC partners. So that almost is like a 3 billion market cap backing the coin right there, right?
Right.
And that's not even talking about all the stuff that's coming down the pipeline.
Which is an incredible thing. I mean, it's only 2 months out.
Only 2 months out, man. Yep, and they're moving quick.
We were talking about
obviously, I will
December,
say that.
So.
Yeah, and obviously, it's not perfect yet. There's going to be bugs. There's going to be a lot to do still, but they are working hard and they're getting a lot done. But I will, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step back and ask if anybody has anything they'd like to bring up at this point in time specifically.
Yeah, the mics are open, guys.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to bring up the fact that it's the strong point of EOS, on my point of view, is that it's going to be so user friendly that anybody can get into it. And what's blocking all of cryptocurrencies nowadays from getting mass adoption? The fact that it's so hard to get into it, to understand how this technology works. So EOS is like bringing all the other guys that aren't tech savvy, and they're bringing them on board to understand this technology and to make it to use it. So I see that as like the strongest point in EOS nowadays.
I mean, how can we scale if your mom is too afraid to use it? Like how many people have lost thousands of dollars because of a little mistake? And the cryptocurrency community in general says, oh, well, that's expected. That's expected. It's your fault for doing that. But everybody knows if you're a human, you mess up at times, right? So we need to also keep in mind that the masses are going to mess up a lot more than the average computer nerd, which we all obviously are a little bit of, right? And when you take into account that not everybody is a computer nerd, as a matter of fact, they are on the fringes of society in terms of the numbers. Well, now how do you get mass adoption if even they have problems? So great point, Chucky. Mr. Mercury, are you going to sing We Are the Champions? Okay, you don't have anything to say. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? Okay, well, I'm going to remind everybody here, we're sitting at about 37 minutes, and we have talked a little bit about everything that was on the list for tonight. We are supposed to have EOSIO next week. We ran into some problems on 2 different occasions setting something up with them due to time differences, but we're going to get it figured out. I want to bring them on and talk to them a little bit as well. But for right now, I just want to keep you guys up to date. For everybody who's listening, MASDACs, just a reminder, we have this site where you can leverage it to post to multiple different places. So if you're posting to Steemit, you can post to MASDACs and you can post to Steemit. You can post to, if you're posting to Medium, you can post to Medium from there. Golos, you can post to Golos from there. And now we're adding Whaleshares, which is a new chain that's going to be a slightly different experience from the Steem and Golos experience when everything's done. And we'll be kind of taking our cross-chain tokens and amplifying them into a whole community of people who are using cross-chain based tokens between the BitShares chain and these mass chains like Whaleshares. And additionally, you can actually post to all of these at the same time on MASDACs. And we will be adding more in the future, but just to let everybody know, these are the things that we are doing. Please let everybody know about them, because the tools that we build, they are meant to empower. Obviously, they are not always perfect right out the bat, but we actually, we tend to help people who let us know the things that we need to improve upon. But right now, you have these tools to use. So I urge you guys to consider leveraging them, because the more that we leverage these tools, the more we amplify our voice, the more that we project out into the world around us, and the more people know what we're doing. And as a community, I just appreciate everybody who joins up live here and everybody who's participating. one big deal that I want everybody to consider as we move forward with these style hangouts is one of the big things that we're going to start doing is focusing on RSVPs. So if you find somebody, a great place to go would be to go to EOS Index. Let them know that we will be share dropping EOS bits on the people who RSVP. If you see a project that you think that needs to talk on these hangouts or these EOS talks rather, please have them join up. Please ask them to RSVP. Let them know that we will be giving tokens and that there is a Beyond Bitcoin community in general that plans to launch many chains and is planning on launching a chain and dropping it on EOS bits. EOS bits in addition, well, the primary thing that is planned for EOS bits is to kind of be a Chuck E. Cheese token for EOS where you can potentially use it for various dApps. In partnership because they will be worth bandwidth that those dApps need. So this is all part of the goal. I urge all of you guys to reach out to these people. And if I find that one of you has referred a great project to us, I will reward you as well with some EOS bits, equaling that of what we reward the project. So just want to let everybody know we are obviously in love with giving out tokens to you who are bringing value. I thank all of you who help us create these opportunities for everybody and those of you who participate. And just as much, if not more so than anything else, I appreciate everybody who shares this because all of the work that all of these people are doing, even if you don't have the time to do a bunch, but a bunch of people do just one simple thing, which is sharing all of our collective work. It only makes our voice stronger. And let's face it, with things like radical transparency debates and term limits for block producers, we need people who are willing to stand up and say things about these things and sometimes stand on the side where we discuss things that are a little bit difficult. And we need a community that is grassroots and capable of standing on its own 2 feet. So you guys make that possible, and your sharing our content makes that possible. And we just so happen to be in a position where we can reward you with cross-chain utility tokens. So thank you for everybody who's joined up tonight. Thank you for participating in this event. And I look forward to meeting you guys every Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel. And for those of you who are listening after the fact, that's fine. Look for us though. Check out the links that are provided in the videos where you watch. And I also just really quickly want to say, if you are somebody who is interested in earning some tokens for streaming our content, every week I will be giving out a reward in EOS bits for this show to the people who get the most views streaming this content. So we have a bunch of different value propositions. All of you guys who are out there interested in these things, please feel free to do it. If you're one of those people who is listening after the fact, please consider the opportunities that you have, even if you can't join us live. But if you can join us live, there's a lot that can be done. There's a lot of opportunity to potentially even get advertisements and doing things like that with your stream. Please pay attention to everything that we're doing and leverage these tools to the max. They're here for you. And we will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And thank you.